My great-grandfather purchased the property in 1916, so it's just over 100 years.
Julian von Bieber's farm produces merino wool, prime lamb, beef and poppies. But the 12,000 hectare property in Tasmania's Northern Midlands is under increasing pressure.
If you go back to the 60s and 70s, there might have been a couple of hundred deer on the property, and then we get to now where we're looking at well over 1,000.
Here's a spot.
The wild deer add grazing pressure, damage fences and ruin expensive efforts to restore native vegetation.
So Ellen, here we've got an example of where the male deer are rubbing their antlers against the sapling.
And so will they completely destroy a young sapling like that?
Yes, they'll work it and eventually it becomes ring-barked and the tree will die.
Julian von Bieber now cages eucalypt saplings to protect them, and he's erected large deer fences. He's spending hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to control deer.
What worries me is where these numbers are increasing beyond what our traditional methods of control can cope with, and then add to that, the deer are spreading.
Deer were introduced to Australia in the 1800s for hunting and meat.
And since then they have remained in fairly small numbers until recent decades when their numbers have really increased.
Annalise Webkin is Australia's first National Deer Management Coordinator. She estimates there are now between 1 and 2 million deer across Australia, in every state and territory.
We know that they're spreading quite quickly. Some data in New South Wales has indicated that over the last 5 years their spread has increased by about 35%.
Julian von Bieber brings in recreational hunters to help control deer.
None of my guys are out at the moment, so you've got the run to yourself.
While other states and territories recognise deer as a feral pest, in Victoria and Tasmania, established wild deer are managed as a game resource and are partly protected. Victoria has made it easier for landowners to shoot problem deer. But in Tasmania, landholders have to apply for crop protection permits, and hunters need a game licence to shoot during a limited season.
When we're unable to shoot them because our permits have run out, then they come back again.
Scott Freeman is a third-generation hunter. He doesn't want deer declared a pest, but he believes game hunters should be playing a role in getting deer out of Tasmanian national parks, as they do in other states.
A lot of that's done at night with night vision gear, and we'll go in and control those areas, and all the meat is recovered through those programs and taken home and utilised by the program participants.
It's not just rural areas with deer issues. In recent months, they've been spotted in inner Melbourne and at a suburban football game. Johannes Wenzel lives in the Dandenongs, effectively outer Melbourne suburbia. About 5 years ago, he noticed his rose bushes and fruit trees were being pruned.
It took us quite a while to wake up that this was actually deer damage. And then it really went rapidly up, and it has become a huge problem in our environment.
Local residents have been reporting vegetation damage and deer on roads. Deer have also eroded embankments and browsed where lyrebirds normally nest. Results from an aerial survey estimated more than 1,600 deer in an area of just 110 square kilometres.
It's a really big problem to manage deer in urban and peri-urban areas. At the moment, the main tools for managing deer are really to shoot them or to trap them or fence them.
Ground-based shooting at night using professional contractors is effective, as can be some trapping and fencing. But in larger, more remote areas, for example national parks and large pastoral properties, then aerial shooting is probably the most effective method.
A recent Senate inquiry recommended states and territories treat wild deer as an environmental pest, maximise the ability of landholders to control feral deer, and maximise the ability of park managers to control feral deer in World Heritage areas and national parks. The Victorian government has developed a deer control strategy and is investigating whether some species should be classified as pests. The Tasmanian government will release a wild deer management plan later this year. It's being developed on the basis that deer remain partly protected.
We're getting them in peri-urban areas, we're getting them crossing highways, we're getting them in World Heritage areas, our national parks, our reserves, and that's where I'm really challenged as to how a generation can let this happen.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.